Hello, today we'll be showing you how to design a mood board as well as a profile pitch deck of sorts for our Reno meetup tomorrow. So the problem that we faced during our first ID show was that we spent quite a lot of time going back and forth for the ID to understand what our requirements are and what our profile, our living lifestyle is like, what we envision for the house and sort of what theme are we actually going for. Which is why I thought it would be good for us to create like a mood board presentation to reduce the introduction time so that we can get into more important things and to see if there's any issues with our initial set of ideas and if they have any better ideas or feedback for us. Okay, so the first and most important thing for the ID to know is the floor plan, which is why if you go to any ID show, most of the time they'll ask you to upload and submit your floor plan first, and they'll most likely help you to print out a few copies so that you can pass them on and share with the ID that you're gonna be sitting down with. So usually when you speak to these IDs, they'll ask a few basic questions such as, are you living in a BTO, or are you living in resale, are you living in landed or condominium, how big is your space, and sometimes they'll ask things like where your plot of land is. So for example, ours, Park Meadows at Tengah, which is important to know because the ID would need to take into consideration of things like, are we going to opt for the CCS, which is the central cooling system, or even new up and coming BTOs like the ones at Bedok where they are exploring open style concept in the house where there isn't any walls dividing the space. But all of this can be found and understood from analyzing the floor plan that you give to the ID. So other things that they will ask, and it's not easily found on the floor plan, is what floor you will be staying at. This is because they need to know whether or not to allocate more material for increase in height for your home. So for example, if you live at level 2 or if you live at the top floor, they will need to increase about 150 mm worth of materials for your carpentry works as your ceiling is much higher. So you may also be asked things like, have you opted in for the OCS? Does your HDB unit come with floor tiles, doors, vinyl flooring, tiling done? Are there any fixtures and fittings that's already in the house? For our plot, we cannot opt out of the OCS, so we already have the doors, vinyls and tiles installed. And other questions that they may ask will be things like, do you want to hack your wall, because it's quite trendy online right now to hack your wall to increase your living room, for example, or to have a walk-in wardrobe. So for us, we are opting to keep everything that the HDB has given us. So we'll be keeping our doors, our vinyls, our tiles. We won't be hacking any walls, and we won't be doing any carpentry work for our bedroom 1 and bedroom 2. So another very handy thing to have is for you to actually get a hold of your materials and the colors of your HDB doors and vinyls and tiles. So other common questions would be things like how much your budget is and are you willing to stretch your budget. So for us, we opted to not share our budget because we wanted to know if our idea works and at what price for what quality can we get. So we are open depending on what the ID proposes. So other common questions will be things like, do you practice feng shui, or do you have a need for altar? Because there are things that take quite a bit of space and you might want a custom built altar, or if you follow feng shui, there's specific measurements that you need to follow, which makes the whole renovation process a little bit more tedious to design around. Okay, so now for our mood board. Our mood board is basically a collection of images which represents what ideas that we want to implement in our house, and these can be things like, if you want a elevated seating platform, for example, if you can as much as possible find images that matches what you're thinking of, that will really improve the communication between you and your ID. So other than collecting a bunch of images which tells the story of what you actually want in your house, another important thing that we realized that we wanted to communicate in writing to the IDs is things like our requirements. So for us, it will be things like, we really want the elevated seating platforms, and we have shown this for 2 images in our mood board, as well as things like good lighting. We are intending to a bit more video production work at home, so it will be good for us to have some good lighting. And really anything that requires custom carpentry, it should be put in this section so that you can let your ID know that, hey, I want a custom built item for my use case. So for us, this will be like a very large display wall on our 5.1 meter wall, because my wife is a very big Lego and toy collector fan, so we really wanted a big space for her to display all of her Legos. And we also wanted a ceiling fan in both the dining area as well as the living area. So this is important because your ID needs to plan for the electrical works as well as any additional wiring required for you to, for example, have an extra ceiling fan if there isn't an electrical outlet at that spot. So another thing that you should tell your ID is things that you are intending to put in place as well as not intending to put in place. So for us, we really don't want a sofa because we feel like it takes up too much space and we don't really use the sofa that much in our current homes. So we feel like instead of cluttering our house, we would like a bigger elevated platform acting as our sofa instead. And instead of going for a TV setup, we are thinking of going with a projector. So knowing whether or not you're going with a TV or projector is important because your ID will need to plan around whether or not you need a space to mount your projectors on, as well as where your projector will face. So a very important thing to have on your mood board is a understanding of what color palettes you might be interested in. So for us, we've put this on the top right hand corner. So what a color palette is colors that you really like. Ideally, these should be seen in your mood board and maybe are things that you picked up that you really like the vibe of. So for us, we really like the Japanese Scandinavian minimalistic theme. So in line with that, we are going for something that's a little bit more warm, so off-white, and we intend to have a lot of woody elements in the house to really bring the Japanese and natural vibe out. After all, we are living in Tengah, a place where there's a lot of trees, a lot of nature around, so we really wanted to tie the whole woody Japanese environmental concept together. But don't worry if you don't really know what color palette you should have or you would like from your pictures. You can simply just share your entire mood board, your collection of photos with your ID, and ideally they'll be the one who will present you with a rendering of how your house would look like. Okay, so for the kitchen, it's gonna be the same thing. You need to figure out what theme or concept that you like. So for us, we are extending this Japanese theme into the kitchen itself. And one of the questions that your ID will probably ask and you probably need to know is what fridge or what is the size of the fridge that you're gonna get. So this is important, especially if you want to conceal your fridge like us, or if you want your built-in carpentry to sort of surround the fridge well. So for us, there will be a side-by-side fridge. So other important things for your ID to understand is special features. So for example, for us, we would like to have a L-shaped bar table island with storage on the kitchen end and high stools on the living room side. For some people, the bar table is more of they want to recreate the drinking vibes, but for us, it's more of because we are both very tall and we like sitting on high chairs, so we like different types of chairs to sit on. So for the living room, it will be like sitting on our elevated platform, and for our kitchen, it will be on the high bar stools, and for our dining, it will be on benches. We feel like the different ways of sitting will provide us different moods based on how we feel like throughout the day, but it also provides a different vibe depending on where we are in the house. So a common thing that ID might ask you is how you intend to store your kitchen appliances. Would you like a pull-out full height cabinet for you to store all your snacks maybe, or your dry goods, or would you like a condiment rack in case you are a very heavy cooker and you have a lot of condiments, or even things like if you want top cabinets or just a blank shelf on the top. So for us, we wanted clear top cabinets for two reasons. The first is we dislike the idea of having shelves, as this increases like the maintenance and we would need to wipe it down often because of all the dust. Having clear top cabinet would mean us just wiping down the doors once every so often, and having a clear door is because we want to display some collectible items in it. So for your service yard, the IDs will usually ask you if you want to box up your piping so that the house looks more nicer. Other things they will need to take into account is what type of washing machine that you're going for. So for us, we are opting for a front load washing machine. So we were inspired by Javen and Connie's video where Javen created his own platform for the washing machine to stand on. We decided to take that idea, and for the bottom area, we'll be placing our robot vacuum there, mainly because it'll be easier for all the plumbing works that will happen later on, and this should be at the side of the boxed up cabinet. I'll link Javen and Connie's video down below if you're interested to know more about how they came out and implemented this idea of a elevated front load washer. So for the other side, the kitchen service yard area, we weren't sure if we actually wanted a hood because we've never used hoods in our whole life. So we wanted like a storage area for us to sort of be able to cook in the service yard if needed, which is why we are going to make like a custom cabinet in the kitchen. Okay, so moving on to the master bedroom. Common questions that your ID will probably ask you would be what size your bed frame is. So are you a king or a queen or some custom sizing, or would you want a custom bed frame, for example, a elevated platform platform to place your mattress on, or would you like a built-in framing of sorts with stairs? And also the size of your wardrobe. Do you have a lot of clothes at home? Do you need a lot of storage? If you do, you probably need to go for like a L-shaped wardrobe. If not, then they'll just advise you to have a normal full length or half length wardrobe. So for us, because we don't really have too much clothing, we thought that a half wall wardrobe would be good enough. But we definitely want to have a lot of lighting around our bed as well as in the wardrobe. It's mainly so that when we wake up at night, we can see the floor without having turned on the lights and disturbing each other. So one special thing that we wanted for our wardrobe, instead of having a vanity for my wife, we wanted a clean and dirty wardrobe so that we can keep our dirty clothes. So for the master toilet, it's usually bigger than your common toilet, but of course it depends on your house layout. So for us, we thought we wanted to have a significant amount of space in the house because we don't have much storage space in the living room. So we wanted a full length mirror with storage at the back to make full use of the wall itself, as well as a built-in sink so that we don't have to clean up or deal with so much algae growing around. So we wanted a built-in sink also. We feel like a built-in sink will reduce maintenance and sort of fit into our whole minimalistic theme in terms of minimizing the cleaning needed. And they'll probably ask you if you want the trendy acrylic panels and lighting. So for us, we will be sticking with the trend and going with acrylic panel and lighting. So I think the standout thing about our master toilet will probably be we want a built-in bathtub like the one you see here. The reason why we are going with a built-in bathtub instead of buying a off-the-shelf bathtub is because I have experienced showering in a built-in bathtub, and if you're not using the bathtub, which is 99% of the time, and using the shower instead, sometimes you might slip and fall because the surface is very slippery, and also it's not the most comfortable to stand on when you're showering. So a built-in bathtub will give us the more flatter surface for us to have the option to both soak in water when we want, as well as somewhat maintain the ability to shower properly. Lastly, for the common toilet, your ID will most probably want to know how you want to design the partitioning. So for the common toilet, the most important thing that your ID wants to know is, do you want a wet and dry area? Because this will affect whether or not you would need, like for example, aluminum carpentry for your cabinets. And if you do want a wet and dry area, do you want like a full glass partitioning? What sort of divider do you want? Do you want like a built-in half height with a recessed shelf, or do you want like a full height tiled wall kind of thing? I think one very interesting thing to note is that you cannot really get away with a rain shower in HDBs because of the box ups. So from what I understood from the ID, it seems like because I'm quite tall at 1.5 meters, the rain shower won't really be much taller than me, so I won't really get the rain shower effect even if I buy like a rain shower. So for people who are quite tall, maybe you want to take note that rain showers are not very effective for HDBs because of the height limitation from the box ups. So if you like the video, you can download the template in the links below, and we'll be doing a separate video on electrical works. If you like a tutorial on how I design my 3D mockup on Cool Home, you can let me know in the comments down below. Alright, that's all for this video. See you in the next one. Bye!